Hello everyone, myself Arbi Narwade would like to welcome for today's lecture on structural genomics. Structural genomics seeks to describe the three-dimensional structure of every protein encoded by a given genome. For example, a genome codes for 20,000 proteins, then under structural genomics there is a determination of three-dimensional structure of all those 20,000 proteins. So under structural genomics, there are three important steps. First is construction of high resolution of physical and genetic map, then sequencing of the genomes, and the last one is determination of three-dimensional structure of all the proteins that are encoded by that genome. So this genome-based approach allows for a high throughput method of structure prediction by a combination of experimental and modeling approaches. So this structural genomics is the genome-based approach from which we can determine the structure of a three-dimensional structure of all the proteins that are encoded by that genome. So for this, two approaches are used. First approach is experimental approach and second is modeling approach. The principal difference between structural and traditional structural prediction is that structural genomics attempts to determine the structure of every protein encoded by the genome rather than focusing on one particular protein. So if we see the basic difference between structural genomics and traditional structural prediction is that in the structural genomics, there is a determination of three-dimensional structure of every protein that is encoded by the genome. And in traditional structural prediction, there is a determination of three-dimensional structure of protein of one particular protein, or we can say the protein of the interest. So with the full genome sequences available, the structure prediction can be done more quickly through a combination of experimental and modeling approaches, especially because the availability of large number of sequenced genomes and previously solved protein structures allows scientists to model protein structure on the structures of previously solved homologs. So, if the sequence of a particular organism has been completed, then next step is determination of three-dimensional structure of all the proteins that is encoded by that genome. So, in this, a combination of methods are used. First is experimental approaches are used, and second is modeling approaches are used. So, previously solved protein structures are used for the determination of three-dimensional structure of the protein that are encoded by the newly sequenced genome. Because protein structure is closely linked with the protein function, the structural genomics has the potential to inform the knowledge of protein function. So if we know the structure of a protein, we can determine the function of that protein because protein structure is closely linked to the protein function. In addition to elucidating the protein functions, structural genomics can be used to identify novel protein folds and potential targets for drug discovery. So apart from the determination of three-dimensional structure of all the proteins that are encoded by that particular genome, structural genomics can also be used for the identification of novel protein folds and potential targets for the drug discovery. Structural genomics involves taking a large number of approaches to structure determination, including experimental methods using genomic sequences or modeling-based approaches based on sequence or structural homology to a protein of known structure or based on chemical and physical principles for a protein with no homology to any known structures. So under structural genomics, there are two approaches used. First is experimental approach and second is modeling approach. So under experimental method, we can use the genomic sequence and find out the determination of the three-dimensional structure of those proteins. And under a modeling based approach, we can use sequence or structural homology to a protein of known structure or based on the physical and chemical principles for a protein with no homology to any of the known structure. So we can use the structural homology or no homology. Structural genomics emphasizes high throughput determination of protein structures. So this is performed in dedicated centers of structural genomics. So under structural genomics, there is a determination of three-dimensional structure of large number of proteins. So it emphasizes a high throughput determination of protein structures. And this structural genomics is performed in dedicated centers of structural genomics. One goal of structural genomics is to identify novel protein folds. Experimental methods of protein structure determination require proteins that express and or crystallize well, which may inherently bias the kinds of protein folds that this experiment data elucidate. So if we are using the experimental approach for the structural genomics, then we have to take such a genome sequence that will code for the protein that express or that will crystallize well. And from this we can determine the three-dimensional structure of those proteins. A modeling based approach such as ab initio modeling may be better able to identify novel protein folds than the experimental approaches because they are not limited by experimental constraints. So if we are using the modeling based approach, for example ab initio modeling, it is better than that of the experimental methods because there is no limitation of experimental constraints. Protein function depends on three-dimensional structure, and these three-dimensional structures are more highly conserved than the sequences. As I have told earlier that from the structure we can determine the function of the protein. So the three-dimensional structure, it is more conserved than that of the sequence of the protein. So thus the high throughput structure determination methods of structural genomics have the potential to inform our understanding of protein functions. So if we are finding out the three-dimensional structure of vast number of proteins, so we can understand the function of those proteins. So this also has potential implications for drug discovery and protein engineering. Furthermore, every protein that is added to the structural database increases the likelihood that the database will include homologous sequences of other unknown proteins. So as structural genomics has been used for determination of novel protein folds, then likewise structural genomics is also having application for the drug discovery and protein engineering. So whatever the structure we are determining from the genome, we can add this into the structural database. So it will increase the likelihood that the database will include homologous sequence of other unknown proteins which we can determine from the newly sequenced genome. Next is the methods. Structural genomics takes advantage of completely genome sequences in several ways in order to determine protein structures. Gene sequence of the target protein can also be compared to a known sequence, and structural information can be inferred from the known protein structures. Structural genomics can be used to predict novel protein folds based on the other structural data. So if we have to determine the structure of one particular target protein, So what we will do, we will first take the gene sequence of the target protein and then compare this gene sequence with the protein whose three-dimensional structure has been already known, and we will compare the gene sequence of those protein with the target protein, and from this we can determine the protein structure of that target. Then structural genomics can also take modeling based approach that depends on homology between the unknown protein and a solved protein structure. So first method, that is de novo methods. So this method is based on the experimental approach. So under this, completed genome sequences allow every open reading frame the part of a gene that is likely to contain the sequence for the mRNA and protein to be cloned and expressed as a protein. So these proteins are then purified and crystallized and then subjected to two types of structural determination, that is X-ray crystallography and nuclear magnetic resonance, that is NMR. So if the sequencing of one particular organism has been completed, then what we will do, we will take the genome sequences and we will find out the open reading frame, which is the part of a gene that is likely to contain the sequence for mRNA and a protein. Then we will clone this open reading frame and express this as a protein. Then these proteins are then purified and they will that we have to crystallize, and after this we have to determine the three-dimensional structure of that particular protein by using X-ray crystallography and NMR. So the whole genome sequences allows for the design of every primer that is required in order to amplify all the open reading frames, clone them into the bacteria and then express them. So by using a whole genome approach to this traditional method of protein structure predetermination, all of the proteins encoded by the genome can be expressed at once. So this approach allows for the structural determination of every protein that is encoded by the genome. So first we have to take the genome sequence, then we have to find out the open reading frame, we have to clone that open reading frame and that insert into the bacteria so that that protein will be expressed into the bacteria. Then we have to purify this protein, crystallize the protein and determine the three-dimensional structure of that protein. So this de novo method is based on the experimental approach. Next is the modeling based approach. So under modeling based approach there are three methods. First method is ab initio modeling. So under this ab initio modeling, this approach uses protein sequence data and the chemical and physical interactions of the encoded amino acids to predict three-dimensional structures of proteins with no homology to the solved protein structures. So first we are going to compare the sequence of that particular protein with the proteins whose structures has been already known. Then if there is no homology, then we are going to use that particular protein sequence data and we have to determine the chemical and physical interactions of the encoded amino acids so that we can determine the three-dimensional structure of that protein. So one of the highly successful method for ab initio modeling is the Rosetta program. Which divides the protein into the short segments and arranges short polypeptide chain into a low energy local conformation. So Rosetta is available for commercial use and for non-commercial use through its public program, that is Robetta. So under ab initio modeling, one of the popular program, that is Rosetta, is used. Under this Rosetta program, this protein is divided into the short segments and there is arrangement of this short polypeptide chain into a low energy local conformation, and after this the three-dimensional structure of that particular protein can be determined. The second method under modeling approach is sequence based modeling. So this modeling based technique compares the gene sequence of unknown protein with the sequences of known protein with known structures. So there is a comparison of gene sequence. Depending on the degree of similarity between the sequences, the structure of known protein can be used as a model for solving the structure of unknown protein. So we have to determine the degree of similarity between those two gene sequences. So highly accurate modeling is considered to require at least 50% of the amino acid sequence identity between the unknown protein and solved structures. So if there is at least 50% amino acid sequence identity, then we can consider this as a highly accurate modeling. Then if there is a 30% to 50% sequence identity, then it gives a model of intermediate accuracy, and sequence identity below 30% gives a low accuracy models. So it has been predicted that at least 16,000 protein structures will be needed to determine in order for all structural motifs to be presented at least once, and thus allowing the structure of any unknown protein to be solved accurately through the modeling. So there is a prediction that at least 16,000 protein structures will be needed to determine, so that for all the structural motifs will be presented at least once, and from these we can determine the three-dimensional structure of that protein. So one of the disadvantage of this technique is that this structure is more conserved than the sequence. This three-dimensional structure of the protein is more conserved than that of the sequence, and thus sequence-based modeling may not be the most accurate way to predict the protein structures. Third method under modeling approach is threading. This threading bases structural modeling on fold similarities rather than sequence identity. So this method may help identify distantly related proteins and can be used to infer molecular functions. It is based on the fold similarity. So protein folds are compared. So these were the methods that are used for the determination of three-dimensional structure of the protein under structural genomics. Next is the examples of structural genomics. So there are currently a number of ongoing efforts to solve the structure for every protein in a given genome or a given proteome. So first example is Thermotogo maritima proteome. One current goal of the Joint Center for Structural Genomics, that is JCSG, a part of Protein Structure Initiative, is to solve the structures of all the proteins in Thermotogo maritima, which is a thermophilic bacteria. So this Thermotogo maritima has been selected as a structural genomics target based on its relatively smaller genome consisting of 1877 genes, and the hypothesis that the proteins expressed by the thermophilic bacteria would be easier to crystallize. So Leslie et al., they have used the E. coli to express all the open reading frames of Thermotogo maritima, and this after expression these proteins were crystallized and structures were determined for successfully crystallized proteins using X-ray crystallography. So among the structures, this structural genomics approach allowed for the determination of the structure of the TM0449 protein, so which was found to exhibit a novel fold as it did not share structural homology with any of the known protein. So the goal of this particular structural genomics project was to solve the structures of all the proteins. So by after completion of this program, so this novel protein fold has been determined. Then next example of structural genomics is Mycobacterium tuberculosis proteome. So the goal of TB Structural Genomics Consortium is to determine the structures of potential drug targets in Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is the bacterium which causes the tuberculosis. So the development of novel drug therapies against this tuberculosis are particularly important given the growing problem of multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. The fully sequenced genome of this Mycobacterium tuberculosis has allowed scientists to clone many of these protein targets into expressed vectors for the purification and structure determination by X-ray crystallography. So studies have been identified a number of target proteins for structure determination, including extracellular proteins that may be involved in pathogenesis, iron regulatory proteins, current drug targets, and proteins predicted to have novel folds. So far, the structures have been determined for 708 of the proteins that are encoded by the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So it was about the structural genomics